It's been a very squeaky day today, hasn't it, pal? It's squeaking a lot, this little dog. I don't know why, maybe the collies are out. Anyway, hello. Today I'd like to take a look at two more books which I find of great interest. Moonless Night by a chap called B.A., well, his nickname is Jimmy James. They were pilots in the Royal Air Force during World War II, and this one is the epic tale of how he escaped through the Tunnel Harry whilst he was serving as a prisoner of war in Sagan, which is now called Sagan in Poland. In those days it was Sagan. In Germany. And this other book, which is called Flak and Ferrets, which is... what are you squeaking for, though? Pop up if you must. You're having a squeaker of a day, aren't you? It's absolutely panic squeak mode it is today. Don't know why. There's something wrong with it. It's a squeakage. Probably not enough sausages or something, I don't know. But this book's written by Walter Morrison. So a ferret was the nickname given to the Luftwaffe guards who were looking out for the well, they were very much, actually they were very good. Jimmy, I can't handle it, mate. You've got to stop squeaking. Otherwise, what? The ferrets were the nickname given by the Royal Air Force officers that were... Jimmy, stop it, mate, because I can't do the video if you're squeaking, can I? That were given to the nickname given to the Royal Air... Sorry, the ferrets were the Luftwaffe prison guards who were looking after the Royal Air Force officers, and to be all fair, they were very fair. They were Luftwaffe. They weren't horrible people. They did their best under the conditions they had. Obviously, it was war, and they didn't have much food to hand around, but they did what they could. This chap, Walter Morrison, here he is dressed as a German ferret. It was in an attempt to escape from... What's going on, Jimmy? This is ridiculous. I've had enough now. Come on, sweetie. Just be calming down, innit? Calm itself. Demons out! So anyway, let's crack on, otherwise the video will be an hour long. But it's a lovely book. And my copy is... well, there you go. It actually mentions Moonless Night from Sentinel Publishing. It's actually mentioned in there. That's the quick march of the Royal Air Force, I think. No, I'm joking. I don't know what the song is. But that's Walter Morrison as he appeared in 1944. Bless him. He's gone now. He's dead, unfortunately. And he personally signed this one to me. He used to call me Sue. I'm joking. I bought this off the internet, and and he obviously signed it to a lady called Sue. I'm a lady. But in June 1998, so a long while ago, the book was written in 1995, and there's all the bits that you need. There was a hardback, which actually is ludicrously expensive for me. I mean, obviously for collectors of militaria and all that, it's not ludicrous at all, because it's something very special. But it's a wonderful book, well worth a read. Obviously, I'll skip to the pictures, if I may. So, The Great Escape, if you are not familiar with it, happened on the 24th, 25th of March, 1944. There were 3 tunnels built originally, Tom, Dick and Harry. One of them, called Tom, I think, was intervened because the German prison camp expanded, so that meant that the tunnel would be far too long and hard to do. And eventually, the other one was used to put the spoil from Harry in, because they thought Harry was the best bet. And Harry was actually a very long tunnel. I can't remember exactly how long. Jimmy, come on, sweetie. It's so annoying, isn't it? This squeaking. The whole time it's squeaking, it is. This little dog squeaking away. So there we go. That's a de Havilland Tiger Moth, which is what the RAF used to train their pilots in World War II, before they moved on to the sort of single wing, the bi-wing, whatever they're called. You know, some bi-wing, yeah, you'd hope there were two, wouldn't you? The single wing, you know, like Spitfire, Hurricane type planes, and these were the trainers, as it were. The Lysando actually was used as a spy plane a lot, because it was very short takeoff and landing, So it's a very useful plane to drop off agents in France and places like that. That's a Wimpy bomber, I think, if my memory serves me. The Wellington bomber. This it is, and that's the cockpit that this chap, you know, Walter Morrison, would have seen, obviously as a pilot as a pilot in a Wellington bomber. They were the mainstay of the war, the Wellingtons. Here they all are dressed as women. How bizarre, but funny. I mean, a lot of English blokes just like to dress up in drag. I don't know why, but it's always been very popular. And of course, when they were in the Stalag Luft 3, where he was eventually incarcerated, they used to host these pantomime shows, you know, and dress up sort of thing, or get in drag. I don't quite know where they got the women's clothes from. Who knows? The mind boggles. But so there's a portrait of Lorne Welsh. He would have been one of the officers that was with this chap during his incarceration, you know. So there's the bellows air pump that was used for the Tunnel Harry to allow oxygen to go in there, obviously, because it was stiflingly hot, wasn't it, down there. And it was amazing. They dug it out and they clad it with boards used from the beds, and everyone had a bad back because they had half their bedboards missing under their bunks, you know, where they were bunked up, sort of thing. And I'm just trying to bear with me because I've got to find the photos, isn't it? You know, the two left hands I've got, cack-handed, unbelievably dumb person that's doing this video. You'd be surprised. I'm not that clever. Here we go. So that's the Sonderausgabe, which is the Deutschen Kriminalpolizeiblatt. Yeah, okay. So that would be for the wanted men, and there he is, Walter Morrison, along with John Stour, another chap, and Patrick Welsh. I can't read it. I'm so sorry. You guys can probably work out what that says. But these were three wanted prisoners because they were on the run. You know, they'd escaped from the prison, as POWs. You know, they weren't in prison, as it were. They were prisoners of war. They'd managed to get out, innit? So that's a Junkers. I don't know why that's in there. I think they used to call that one Auntie U, actually, if I remember. Maybe I'm wrong. I do make shit up as well. I dream it, you know. It comes. It's in the. I dream the thing and then I believe it. It's unbelievable. But there they are. Obergefreiter Walsh and Gefreiter Morrison, as they sort of pretended to be, dressed up as trying to get out of camp. Very clever, in actual fact. A good ruse, a goodly ruse, I would have thought. This was the Sagan Befehl, which was, you know, it written by Hitler's henchman. Jimmy, 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 squeak. Jimmy, Jimmy, squeak, 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 squeak. It was written by Adolf Hitler's henchman. It was warning prisoners that escaping from prison is no longer a sport. And obviously they were effectively being told that if they were recaptured, they would be shot. And unfortunately, a lot of them were. On the Great Escape, there were 76 or 7, I think, got away. And they were mostly recaptured. I think 3, in actual fact, got away full time, as it were. A chap called Bob van der Stock, who was a Dutchman who spoke very fluent German, he managed to get away. And I think there were 2 Norwegians that got away as well, because they were very canny and they used the sort of sea routes. But the ones that were called hard asses, the people on foot, had very little chance. Because although there is a film called The Great Escape, made in 1963, it doesn't actually fully depict the true scenario, because in reality it was winter. It was the coldest winter in March. That's Walter. The coldest winter on record for March, and the snow was waist deep, and so they had, you know, in their civilian clothes that they were wearing to pretend to be that they'd made to pretend to be civilians to escape. That, you know, little chance or none. And so 50 of them were shot eventually, unfortunately. In fact, Uncle Adolf wanted them all to be shot, but the Luftwaffe officer in command of the camp was up in arms and said, no, 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 you know, these are my care, under my care, and so he eventually ordered 50 of them to be shot, and they're known now as the 50. So this is another great book by Jimmy James, James Bertram. That's getting signed by Jimmy, and this one actually was to me. You can see there. He says, "Best wishes, B.A. Jimmy James." And I met him on May 2005. He was actually in Poland at the time. He was revisiting the Sagan camp for some form of opening. That was his wife Madge and his son Patrick, who sadly predeceased him. And again, he's gone now. Unfortunately, he's dead. He died an old man, though. I mean, you know, an amazing fellow, very very witty, very witty man, I can tell you. And he again was a Wellington bomber pilot. And there he is with a Hawker Hart, which was again one of in Cromarty, which would have been his training plane as a young man. You know, as I say, these spy wings. Jimmy, you've got to stop squeaking, mate. It's just annoying me now, unfortunately. So where is he? Bum bum bum. I can't pick him out straight away. There he is. There. That's Jimmy James. In number 11 operational OTU, they used to call them operational training units in RF Bassingbourn in 1940, and that was the plane he flew, a Wellington. They used to call it the Wimpy. He was shot down over Holland. He parachuted. He landed. He injured himself quite savagely. Actually, no, he didn't break, but he very badly sprained his ankle, and he was promptly captured by German soldiers that had seen the whole thing going on, as it were. You know, they'd witnessed it all. And here he is, shortly after capture. This is the chap that was in charge of the Great Escape. Roger Bushell, his name was. His code name was Big X, and he was actually, well, it says here executed. He was actually. There was a thing called the Gnickschuss, where they used to put a pistol to the back of your neck and blow your back of your head out. You know, nice, sweet, and that's how he went. Unfortunately, these agents from the Special Operation Executive (SOE) were prisoners of Jimmy James at Sachsenhausen, where he was eventually taken. He was recaptured. He escaped from Stalag Luft 3, but he was recaptured, unfortunately, and then taken to Sachsenhausen concentration camp, where he actually promptly escaped from. he was unbelievable. There was no having it. But there's Tunnel Harry from Hut 104. You can see it progressing out into the woodlands. I'll leave a link, if I can, to the film below. That was the stove that was over the tunnel. The trapdoor entrance, you see, was below this heater stove, so the German soldiers wouldn't suspect anything, isn't it? And that was a trolley that they used to use the earth from. You can see how the bedboards would shore up the sand, because it was on sand, this camp. It was deliberated there for a reason. It was a soft sand, very difficult to tunnel through, you see. And there it is. They had two halfway houses, Piccadilly and Leicester Square, I think they were called. Yes, they were. Look, there they are. The halfway houses allowed people to pass each other as they went back and forth, sort of thing. Here's the operations room, you know, where they got rid of all the soil. That's how deep it was. Quite very deep. I don't remember exactly. I'm so sorry, but I'll leave a link, as I say. I'll leave a link to Tunnel Harry in the description box below. So Hut 104, they went down the shaft, and that's where they escaped. It was a little bit short, sadly, and that's how the whole thing was tumbled, because basically a bloke, one of the German guards, went out to have a piss, sort of thing, of the main compound, and he discovered that, to his horror, there was this bloke there on the ground, you know, and he thought, what? Unbelievable. So this is where this is the Sachsenhausen, where Jimmy James was sent later, sort of thing. And these are other important people that were there as well, that were all sort of shifted when the war was beginning to end, and they were moved to Italy. They were marched to the Dolomites, you know, as Germany kind of went downhill. That's Jimmy in his RAF uniform, and that's him with his beautiful wife Madge, who is also sadly gone now, which is a great shame. I did write to him actually. I can't find the letter off the top of my off the bat, but there he is revisiting Sachsenhausen in the 70s, and there he is with Dick Churchill and Peter Fanshawe, who were part and parcel of the Great Escape as well, you know. So another very interesting book, and that's a memorial at the Sachsenhausen camp. So anyway, if you can get yourself a copy, I would very highly recommend the reads. That they are Jimmy writes very low key for all the things he'd achieved and done. It's the most incredibly I can't think of the word, but it's when someone doesn't think anything of themselves, they just think, oh well, whatever. And he talks like it was just like matter of fact, and as does Walter Morrison. They're very unassuming in a sense of that they don't think themselves heroes, you know. They just think they were just normal blokes, which is incredible, to be honest with you. And there it is, I suppose, to end on the video. And fear not them which kill the body, and are not able to kill the soul. Well done, St. Matthew, from chapter 10, verses 28. Yeah, pretty accurate. Anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. I'm sorry this has cracked on a bit, but it's a topic that I'm very interested in. All the very best wishes. I fully appreciate it if you've got this far. Cheers. And he stopped squeaking now, isn't he?